What's up, guys? Mower Medic 1. I got my mop trimmed up last night. Got a little DPP action. I get this comment right here probably 50 times per day stating that I'm wrong and that if your carburetor is flooding, that you have a bad fuel solenoid. A fuel solenoid has absolutely zero to do with carburetor flooding. Let me explain this in layman's terms. You have your fuel coming in. You have a float. You have a needle in seat. When the fuel bowl, all of this area in here, the bowl, when this fills up with fuel, the float will rise up, pushing the needle against the seat, shutting off the fuel. The fuel solenoid that screws into the bottom of the carburetor is the lowest point on the carburetor. There is nothing keeping this carburetor from flooding. If the needle in seat were to fail, the only way that this carburetor is going to flood is if you have something wrong with the needle in seat, something wrong with the float, or your air bleed is stopped up for some reason. All this does is when this fuel solenoid is energized, it sucks this pintle down and opens the passage to the main jet. Think of it like this. Go to your pre-fuel solenoid days. What was on the bottom of the fuel bowl? Just a nut, right? And it just screwed in the same spot as the fuel solenoid. You can literally take this pintle and take a pair of dikes and cut it off to where it doesn't do anything, and put this carburetor together, and it's not going to flood. One of these days, I'm gonna get enough of these, hey, my carburetor's flooding, I need to replace my fuel solenoids. You're wasting your money. A fuel solenoid it's actually a convenience item. It doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have anything to do with the carburetor flooding. All it does is shuts the fuel flow off to the main jet, so when you switch it off, it doesn't fill those high capacity mufflers with fuel vapors. When those mufflers are red hot and you switch it off, sometimes, just depends on what cycle the engine is in, some of those fuel vapors will travel down the exhaust pipe into those cherry red mufflers, because the EPA makes these engines run so blasted lean that it heats everything up. Never used to have this problem until the government got their fingers in making these engines run so lean and supposedly clean. But those mufflers, if you crank a newer mower in the when the sun goes down and it's dark outside, those mufflers are glowing cherry red. These engines are so lean. I'm surprised that they last as long as they do. The proper term for this is not a fuel solenoid. It doesn't regulate the flow of anything, except it shuts off the flow to the main jet to keep the engine from backfiring when you turn it off. That's all this does. This is not a gas flow solenoid.